Hey y'all, welcome back to Ascending with Ashley and Ashley. This is Collective Coffee. Uh, we're gonna talk about like logistics and the way things are being set up for civil war in the United States alongside World War III within this dictatorship. Now, you might be thinking, what are you talking about? There's not gonna be a civil war because no one's fighting back. I know. But I think we're gonna get to a point where people are going to start fighting back. Anyway, so we already know that due process has been eliminated at this level, okay? We also know that I'm making breakfast too, so I'm gonna have to go get that. Habeas habeas corpus is also being removed from our rights. Habeas corpus is a meaning you shall have the body in Latin, is a legal procedure that allows individuals in custody to challenge the legality of their detention. It is a fundamental right in the U.S. Constitution, safeguarding against unlawful imprisonment and arbitrary power. Essentially, it requires that a person held in custody be brought before the court to determine if their detention is lawful. So without habeas corpus, okay, without due process, we're going to get the definition for due process, because they already removed that with the past a few weeks ago with the migration, like with the forced migration, kidnapping of people. Due process is a fundamental legal principle guaranteeing fairness and equality. Nope, equity. Equity is different than equality. Equity is like... Hang on, we'll get the definition after. In all legal proceedings, ensuring individuals are treated fairly by the government. It protects individuals from arbitrary government action and ensures a fair hearing or the opportunity to defend their rights. In essence, it means that the government must follow and establish legal rules and procedures before taking actions that could deprive someone of life, liberty, or property. So, without due process, without habeas corpus, what he's doing and what dictators do in coups, right? Because this is a coup, you can tell. There's a lot of conversation about people talking about how he hired a bunch, he being Trump, hired a bunch of January 6ers to, I don't know why I put that in quotes, I think hired should be in quotes, to be these ICE agents, right? I think we know that these are white supremacists who are parading as law enforcement. Now, you know, according to Rage Against the Machine, those who work forces are the same that burn crosses. Yes, we know this. That's why I put the hired in quotes, because I feel like this is just an organized effort in as far as Nazis, you know, Aryan Brotherhood. I think that's the inside prison stuff. And then I'm not gonna speak on that. The Klan, right? The Zionists as well. There's this brotherhood, and women are involved in this, obviously, white women, predominantly, but there are also people of color who are trying to keep their proximity to whiteness, for their own gain, right? We see this a lot. So that's why, you know, there's this saying, not all skin folk are kinfolk. It's a saying in the black community. And what that means is not everyone who has the same, you know, shade of skin as you has the same political alliances or allegiances or, you know, alignment. Now, I had this thought last night, and I made a note on it, because what I think is important, so without due process, without habeas corpus, and what dictators do is they remove the legal aspect, right? Tyranny and fascism remove they remove the legal aspect so that they have the power and control. So right now, as we are living through this dictatorship, and I again want to put this in quotes too, because it's not, Trump is not, he's power hungry, he's rich, but he's not smart. And I feel like you can't rise to this degree of power without a lot of other people wanting to put you there, because they know that you're going to benefit their ideologies, whatever. Yeah, the man has wanted to become a dictator. Yeah, I don't think he's smart enough to be doing this. So maybe he hired all of these people to write it, but I feel like there's some sort of, I don't know. I don't think, if he were to be assassinated, it's not, if Trump were to be assassinated, it's this, whatever this is, would not fall. And I think that's the thing that's important to think about, because what they've done, they being whoever is writing these bills and pushing this, and they're funded by AIPAC, they're funded by, Christian evangelicals. This is, a lot of different religious supremacy groups as well. So we need to understand that while we're up against supremacy, there's lots of little groups of people within that who are also power hungry and wanting, and that's what we need to remember about civil war. Not all of those people are going to be white. Not all of those people are going to look how you think they will. And again, if there was an assassination that took place or some sort of death and Trump passed, this, whatever they've put into place, will remain standing and will continue forward. And that's the thing that's so important. That's a tampon for the mutual aid spot. You don't need that. It's not candy. I will open it for you so that you can learn. This is for, this is not candy. I know what you think. It's making the same sound as candy. This is called a tampon. And it has this little, this is an applicator. Oh, what's that? This is a cotton thing. This is called a tampon. It's for girls and women. I will tell you about anatomy later, but there you go, honey. Those are for the mutual aid spot. And that stuff's sitting over there. That's used to make blood stop. Or it, like Band-Aids. It's kind of like a Band-Aid, but for a different part of the body. We'll talk about that later. Not while I'm recording. Anyway, I think that's the most important thing to remember. Hang on, I gotta take the cinnamon rolls out. I don't want them to burn. Watch it. Come here. Still got a couple minutes on the bacon. So, when fascists create these things, so I feel like even me just talking about, I feel like because Trump has been talking about becoming a dictator since the early 80s, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like what's happening in the wall, the meeting rooms, there's this, there's a competition of wits happening. There's like a pissing contest. There's Napoleon complexes. But ultimately how we, the people, are going to be affected by this is, when a fascist government takes over the law, I'm not a fan of the law, I'm an anarchist, but there are certain things in place that protect people even within law. So, with the paperwork for martial law being set for July, with, he just, what else did he sign? I don't know if maybe it was this habeas corpus thing, I don't know. So they're giving local law enforcement militarized means, okay, for anywhere in the United States. And a lot of that has already happened. A lot of these local pigs have a fuck ton of militarized equipment, okay? I mean, that varies, you know. I'm out in the rural desert versus what the LAPD have, right? Both of those experiences I've experienced. But like the town I'm in, this is the holding area for the county sheriff. So you need to understand that when civil war breaks out, when martial law gets called, it's going to be at a local to macro scale, right? We will all be affected by that. That's why people keep telling you to like build trust with your neighbors, at least, you know, some sort of acquaintance. And also, oh, that's what it was. He's just signed yesterday that over like 20, he's going to deputize over 20,000, you know, regular Joe Schmoes in the United States to become deputies of ICE, right? To become national tattletales, narcs, right? And because inflation and capitalism have expanded this wealth gap so like drastically, because people are struggling so much, people are going to do what they need to do for money. So you can get money by becoming a deputized person. I mean, there's going to be a pretty, it reminds me of, you know, I live here out in the wild, wild west, and it reminds me of those times. If you've never seen Django, I would highly recommend watching Django. It's going to give you this idea of how slave catchers did that work. And slave catchers are what the police are. That's the relationship. That's why police exist, because they started off as slave catchers to, you know, capture enslaved people who had escaped. That's the roots of what policing is. So all of these things are going to become factors for each of us, no matter where we are. And within, you know, I just made a post and I said, know your rights, but we really don't have the same rights that we did in December, or even in the beginning of January. At this point in time, our rights are, they're non-existent. And I mean, I've told a lot of people this, you know, as a white woman, when that Constitution, you know, all the patriots talk about the Constitution and knowing your constitutional rights. When that was written, it only included white men. It did not include any of the rest of us. So I've never really worked from that place of knowing your rights, but, you know, within the history of the United States, within civil rights movements and, you know, all of the pushback and certain amendments and everything happening, yes, people have, you know, gotten more rights as the times have gone on. But, you know, it's only been within 50, 60, 70 years that, you know, Obama's language, the playing field was evened a little bit, right? So what Make America Great Again means is white supremacy, is enslavement, is this wild, wild west mentality, this manifest destiny, this ownership of land and others, you know, going back to John Locke, the first man to really present privatization of land. Horrible person. I mean, they all are, right? And so that's the thing. It's like patriots really hold on to these founding father ideals, but at this point, we're talking about Christian evangelicalism within religious. I mean, Mormonism is in this too. I don't think Mormons really consider themselves Christians. I mean, from my understanding, Mormonism is in addition to the Bible, but they hold what Joseph Smith, the white man who wrote the Mormon book, they hold his book higher than the Bible. So I know I'm in that kind of area with a lot of Mormon folks. So I don't know. All that to say is, right now what they're doing is removing all of our rights. This is going to lead to a civil war if people fight back. But there's been so much there's this, like, the way I envision it is like a kind of like a Fibonacci sequence of like there's one cycle of something happening and then another cycle, like kind of like a wave when you're surfing and you see like the wave kind of collapse on itself. That's kind of the vision I'm getting. It's like first they went for them and then they went for them, and like the whole time it's like all of us are getting crushed by this wave in our own timing, right? Like it's a flow that they're doing. They're very, very organized. And that's the thing. Trump is not smart enough, but he is being puppeted. And I feel like he probably feels like he's benefiting from the people writing all of this stuff, but I feel like they wanted him because they know he's not smart to be the face of their agenda. Either way, it's a reciprocal thing. But if Trump were to pass away, J.D. Vance would step in power. We know that's not a good situation. And beyond that, I mean, he's young. J.D. Vance is young. Beyond that, also, he's being backed by a lot of different things as well. So my advice, I know this isn't really exciting to hear, but my advice is to have an apocalypse team, have some people around you that you trust, and I would recommend geographically. It's going to be necessary to have people watching your back and doing the vice versa. It's going to be important to have people to communicate with about what's happening, about certain movements, and things like that. I would also recommend laying as low as possible. Within reason. I mean, we still need to look out for each other. So, I mean, I would still be voicing, resistance in the ways that feel safe to you. But don't put your safety over, like, the lives of others. I think there's a really fine balance there, which is what makes wars happen. And the systems know that. They are very organized. I mean, I would also recommend, accepting the inevitable. None of us are getting off of this planet alive. Death is the only way out. And so, with keeping that in mind, I would go ahead and make peace with your, creator. Take accountability for the things that you've done wrong to, hopefully be able to not get stuck in a space of purgatory or a hell worse than this reality. All right? And I would also recommend that you fight. Fight for your rights. Fight for the rights of others. Fight for our children. Fight for a future. This is global domination. I didn't think we'd be living through this. It's kind of annoying, honestly. But either way, I'd also watch the movies that they're coming out with and analyze those with the critical lens. I made a movie Monday about the movie Civil War. I think that's an important one. Leave the World Behind is another good one. I think it's important to kind of catastrophize and be in a space of preparedness so that you, when it comes, you're ready. Okay? We stay prepared so we don't need to get prepared. And getting prepared while it's at your door is not the thing to do. If you are a prepper, if you can, continue to look out for people, set up mutual aid spots. I think my thing is, as an anarchist, the most important thing we can do is create systems outside of this system. Look out for each other. Try to not have reliance on the systems as much as possible. The most I rely on this system is for groceries. Which is an important thing. I need to eat. My son needs to eat. The animals need to eat. Okay, I'll be right there. All right, I gotta let you go. Have a good